welcome in everybody to the Sunday service here. I'll tell you, this is one of my most exciting episodes of the week. As always, Tony Jigsaw Cotillo at TCotillo23. Fox Sports The Gambler at Fox PHL Gambler. Again, Sunday service. You see the bottom of the screen. You see what time it is. You see what day it is. This is NFL Sunday. And my man Andre checking in 9:30 a.m. sharp. Andre, Heat Ratio Sports, my man, what is up? Yeah, listen, I am so excited for NFL Sundays. I really am. And, you know, it's amazing. It's one of those things, no matter what is going on, no matter what's going on in the world, no matter what kind of challenges we're facing, one thing is for sure, we are always ready to talk football. And sports brings us all together, which is one of the best things in the world, and I love every second of it. But we're going to talk fantasy football again every Sunday. You see, look, Sunday service, you see it, right? Fox PHL Gambler, check us out at Fox PHL Gambler. You hear me every day on a daily ticket with Sean Brace at 350-ish. You hear me every Tuesday with the Final Judgment. You hear me every Wednesday for the Fantasy Firebox. You hear me every Tuesday on Heat Ratio Sports. You hear me every Saturday on This Week in Football with Pat Callahan and Joe Torti. I don't understand anywhere else I can be, but I can tell you one thing. This is the place I want to be right now in the Sunday morning when we're talking about fantasy football. And one of the questions I have, I want to start this off right off the bat because it makes me think, whenever I do, what do you do with weather? Where do you put weather in your projections? And I say that because we're coming in a home stretch here, people. Let's make no mistake about it. This is going to be the time where we're going to get the high winds, the polar vortex, the rain, the snow, the sleet. I mean, we all remember, you know, the Eagles and the Lions and, you know, in December and that snows. I mean, we have so many fond memories of weather when it comes to the NFL game, but we're talking fantasy. We're talking about how do we take those weather forecasts and dictate them into our lineups? Because I'll tell you what, me personally, I drop each guy down at least a couple notches. Like, I'm going to start right off the bat. We're going to talk about two games, and we have to be very, very careful of weather conditions. And number one, it's Green Bay and Jacksonville. Listen, Green Bay, it's already called the frozen tundra for a reason. Out there in Lambeau, they're talking about 50-mile-an-hour gusts, 40 sustained. That's tremendous wind. Okay, tremendous win. So if you think Aaron Rodgers is going to be throwing 40-yard bombs all day to Davante Adams, I think you're sadly mistaken. The only good thing I will tell you is with Davante Adams is he's great for yards after the catch, which that's one of the things that you need to focus on in this game. Guys like Aaron Jones, right? What is Aaron Jones going to do? Guys like, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, or because Alan Lazard is not going to play. Robert Tonyan. I mean, these are the guys you're going to have to look at in this game. But I said this before in the Stars and Stiffs, and again, you can catch that at Fox PHL Gambler on the iHeartRadio site. You have to be careful of Jake Luton. I know everybody wants to, Jake Luton is the man. Jake Luton threw for 300 yards. Okay, listen, he didn't play the Green Bay Packers. He didn't play in Lambeau Field. He didn't play in bad conditions. So you need to pump the brakes a little bit on Jake and relax. So, don't tell me I didn't warn you if you're banking on Jake. Now, the other game that we have to be very careful of is the Cleveland and Houston game. We have to be very careful of that game. We're talking snowy conditions. We're talking high winds as well, 50 miles an hour. I mean, to think that Deshaun Watson all day long is going to be airing it out to William Fuller, again, sadly mistaken. Baker Mayfield, here's the thing, short passing game, which really buys into Nick Chubb coming back. But again, Nick Chubb coming back with a knee injury. Is this going to hinder his ability to produce? Are they going to hold him back maybe because of, again, weather conditions? So I'm very curious to see what people do with their lineups based on weather conditions. Now, what I will tell you right now is, we talk about in DFS all the time. Dr. Ruka, a.k.a. soccer. I get it. I know. Listen, I'm a soccer coach, my man. I know all about the real definition of football. I get it 100%. But thank you for checking in as always. But here's the deal. when you hear stack a lot, you always hear the word stack in DFS, right? You always hear the word stack in DFS, and it's always like, who is going to be that stack team this week? And a lot of a lot of optimism is based around the Los Angeles Rams, and the reason why is they're going up against none other than the Seattle Seahawks, who have been the fantasy darling in the sense of offense and defense, right? 100%. Have I heard of Glasgow Celtic Football Club? Absolutely. 100%. Again, like I told you, I follow everything, man. And again, thank you for checking in. I greatly appreciate it. But let's talk about Jared Goff, a guy who, you know what? I don't think he's a very good quarterback. I've said this before. I look at him; he's okay. At the end of the day, he's okay. But for fantasy purposes this week, I think he has got a really good value when you look at your DraftKings lineup. He's going against a team in Seattle. This isn't the Legion of Boom anymore. There is no Cam Chancellor. There is no Richard Sherman. These guys aren't there, and they're going against their best two corners, one of being Shaquille Griffin, out for this game. 100% out for this game. They're not even available, which means, again, more opportunity for Jared Goff. More, and that's another reason why I like Cooper Kupp. A lot of people are down on Cooper Kupp. But again, let me just tell you something. Over the last 3 weeks, okay, the opposing number one wide receiver that has faced the Seattle Seahawks, you want to hear their numbers? 27 targets, 332 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Okay, that's the kind of production that you can expect today, in my opinion, when you talk about the LA Rams. And again, we're going to get to some value picks as well, because I think this could be a day where we finally see the rookie Cam Akers do some kind of damage. Just my opinion. You never know. It's just, again, I just have that feeling. This is that kind of game for me. And I think this is where we talk about these guys. I want to talk, right? I like American football. Go Giants. Go Giants. See, you had to throw the Go Giants in there, didn't you, man? You had to throw the Go Giants in there. That's okay. Listen, if Danny Dimes can overcome the Philadelphia Eagles, and they deserve to win, that's all I got to say. You never know what's going to happen. That could be a 10-9 game, or that could be a 38-31 game, right? Who knows? Andre seconded Joffins in the good, not great quarterback category. Exactly. Can continue to say that, Andre, 100%. But this week he's going to eat, because the weeks, yes, the deep backs, there is none. There is no. Andre, I think me and you could play defensive back for the Rams, and they may do for the Seahawks, and they may do better against the Rams this week, right? 100%. So again, Cooper Kupp, get him in the lineup. Listen, Robert Woods, get him in the lineup. Josh Reynolds, get him in the lineup. Tyler Higbee, get him in the lineup. This is going to be a really good day, a really, really good day for the LA Rams. What's up, man? How you doing? Full PPR. Have faith 251. My man, always checking in. Should I start Alshon Jeffrey? I am all over Danny Amendola this week. All over Danny Amendola. He is, not only is he a tremendous DraftKings value, okay, but have you seen everybody expected Marvin Hall, Marvin Jones, no Kenny Galladay this week, okay? No Kenny, Danny Amendola, $3,900, okay? $3,900 for Danny Amendola. So 100%. Again, he's one of my under $4,000 or $5,000 budget guys in DraftKings. And I think, again, 10 targets last week. Only had 77 yards. It doesn't matter. Danny Amendola isn't going to give you that tremendous yards per catch number, but he's going to give you a ton of targets, a ton of catches. And listen, 10 for 77, 8 for 90. I mean, if you're talking about a flex spot, 100%. Danny, I keep saying Dammy because I keep thinking of Danny Dimes. Danny Amendola is gold this week. I can tell you that right now. I do not trust Alshon Jeffrey one iota. I listen, I am all in on Jalen Reagor this week, by the way. All in on Jalen Reagor. I think Jalen Reagor goes off this week. I do. Something tells me in the bye week. Listen, Jalen. One thing about Jalen is, and I've yelled at Jalen Rager before, right? And again, I told you, I'm not as a Philadelphia Eagle guy. I think there was a better pick at that time, but that's okay. We have to work with what we have now. And I think this is the week where Carson and Rager get on the same page. They had a bye week together. I think Rager wants to show that he is legit. And I think this is the week that they can do it against the Giants. Here's the thing against the Giants. Giants have two guys, in my opinion, two guys on defense, okay? And it's Jabril Peppers and it's Blake Martinez. Blake Martinez is the guy I wish the Eagles would have signed in the offseason at the play or middle linebacker spot. But those two guys are going to be up in the box all day long. They're going to be trying to, number one, spy on Carson, number one, get in his head a little bit and try to stop Miles Sanders because they know he's back. So, I think this is going to be an opportunity for them to go down the field, and I think it's going to open up the middle of the field, which is, listen, Jalen Rager is that Tyreek Hill kind of player. That's what they're trying to make him into be. So he gets those eye mesh routes, those crossing routes, and takes to the hole. That's what I think. I see Rager scoring this week, at least one touchdown, in my opinion. My man, Mark Drumheller, what's up, buddy? How you doing? Cardinals stack. That's another stack everybody seems to be talking about, the Cardinals stack. I'll tell you what, Kyler Murray, $8,000 DFS. You have to take Kyler Murray. How do you not take Kyler Murray? He is the guy. I'll tell you, if you want fantasy explosion, you watch Buffalo and Arizona. But I will tell you this, Mark. On the other side of the ball, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I'm curious to hear your opinion. But everybody's all in on Stephon Diggs this week, as they're, because, and I love Stephon Diggs, but I'm telling you, I understand they keep pointing to Patrick Peterson being susceptible to good games. Well, I'm going to point to Patrick Peterson's good game against DK Metcalf about 3 weeks ago, where Tyler Lockett went off. This is, again, I'm going to give you right now, I'm going to give everybody my lockdown fantasy gem, my DFS diamond in the rough on Sundays. I know we do it on Mondays for the Monday night game, but I'm going to give you my gem, my diamond in the rough this week for DFS. It's Gabrielle Davis. I talked about it yesterday on This Week in Football. I'm going to talk about it again. Gabrielle Davis for the Buffalo Bills, $3,400. And the reason why I say that is because look at the coverage that DK Metcalf or Stephon Diggs is going to command. The same coverage that DK Metcalf commanded, right? The same way. I still think, listen, I like Budda Baker, Mark. I'm 100%. It's getting healthy overall. You got Budda Baker, right? You got Patrick Peterson. And again, you have John Brown and you have Stephon Diggs. There's a third guy in Gabrielle Davis, in my opinion. So that's the guy you look at. I don't spend the money on Stephon Diggs this week. I don't think Stephon Diggs has a great week. People are picking him in their top 5 this week. I'm sorry. He may be in the top 10 because of volume, but I can't put him in my top 5 this week. No way. What's good? DAAD22 checking in on Periscope. Start DJ Dallas or Zach Moss PPR. Listen, that Seattle backfield is such a mess. It really is. Obviously, there's no Carlos Hyde. There's no Chris Carson. Right? You look at Travis Homer, Alex Collins, DJ Dallas. Actually, Travis Homer out-snapped DJ Dallas last week, and Alex Collins got some work too. And I actually think Alex Collins could be the best back out of the 3. You just don't know what to do. One thing you can say about Zach Moss is he's consistent in the sense that he's at least getting 14 to 15 touches a game, whether it be as a number 2 back or whether it be as a lead back. And I think he's actually took himself and put him on the pedestal above Devin Singletary. Finally, I think this is the week again where Devin Singletary last week only had a few carries. Zach Moss outrushed him again. So I think this is going to be another week where he goes up. And I know even in PPR, Zach Moss will get a couple catches as well. So that game is, again, fantasy gold. It's going to be a shootout. So 100%, I start, for my money, Zach Moss all day. And just remember something, that Seattle team, running the ball up against Aaron Donald and that defensive front might not be as easy as people think, because the offensive line for Seattle has not been very good this year. So that's another thing you have to take in perspective when you're talking about that pick. I want to get into some other things about, how about some value picks for this week? And again, I 100%, Hold on. Andre second. O-line said built the pass. Exact. Andre, me and you always being Andre on the same page again. The O-line in Seattle is built to pass protect and not built to open holes for the running back. 100% careful. Very, very ease with caution for real. I would check it in. Jazir on Twitch checking in. Drake or Moss? Full PPR. Again, I'm going Zach Moss. Kenyon Drake, whether he is 100% or not, how much he plays, I don't know. Chase Edmonds, the better back to own, especially in a PPR format. Zach Moss, 100%. I'm all in on Zach Moss this week. Full PPR. Put him in, lock him up, and make your money. I guarantee it's going to happen. Let's talk about some DK values, and that means DraftKings, because we talk DraftKings on at 5PHL Gambler all week long. That's what we talk about. They're the numbers that we pull. DraftKings values. Let's go. J.D. McKissick, $4,900. Now, again, when I do these values, I always talk about guys that are under $5,000, okay? Because that's what you want to look at. You want to look at under $5,000. Now, last week, I'll tell you, somebody asked me about McKissick, and I told him no, do not start him. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I had no idea the guy was going to get 14 targets. Okay, you can't predict things sometimes, and I did not feel that guy who's not had more than 8 targets all year gets 14. He doubles that almost. So again, 9 catches, 65 yards, and again, that was because Kyle Allen goes out. Alex Smith comes in. If you expect Alex Smith to be going down the field all day long, you're sadly mistaken. He's going to fall in love with the check down. He's going to like J.D. McKissick. So again, for $4,900, under $5,000, again, a guy that's been getting double-digit points. Again, you have to look at this. He's been getting, since week 4, he's been getting double-digit points, except for week 7 in Dallas, where he only had 7. He's been double-digit points 4 out of 5 weeks. So he's pretty much steady and locked in, especially for that number. Very, very valuable. Another guy, okay, Darius Slayton for the New York Giants. And again, when we talk about offense, you have to look at so many different things, okay? You really do. Darius Slayton for $4,800 going up against the Eagles. We don't know what the Eagles are in the secondary. We don't. They're very, very inconsistent. One thing is for sure, Darius Slay is going to be all over. Now, who is Darius Slay going to cover? I'm not sure. I have a suspicion that Darius Slay is going to be moved all over the place. So, again, we have to be careful of that. But here's a guy just 2 weeks ago gets 9 targets. Last week, he only has 1 target, 1 catch. That's, listen, 1.8 points. He was a $5,000 value. He only dropped $200, okay? Only dropped $200 of $4,800 for this week. That means to tell me that they know this guy is going to come back this week. I fully remember when they played last time, he caught a touchdown, got called back for a penalty. I think this week it sticks. I think for $4,800, Darius Slayton going against the Eagles defense and Danny Dimes, I think that he is a very, very good value. Another value, the same side of the ball, Evan Ingram, $4,500. Okay, Evan Ingram at $4,500 to me at the tight end position is an absolute steal. And again, I always wait on my tight ends. They're like my last position that I take at before the defense. But Evan Ingram showed over the last few weeks, he's starting to get rolling. Okay, it started in week 7, 9 targets. Week 8, 10 targets. Week 9, 10 targets. Okay, he's starting to get 6+ catches. He's starting to get double-digit fantasy points every single week. And in week 7, he actually had 3 rushing attempts as well. So that's another thing to look for. They like Evan Ingram. He's all over the field. He's very athletic. He can do a lot of different things. So again, one thing's for sure, they're going to move him around early and often. And for your DraftKings at $4,500, I think he is a solid pick or the value. Again, get your locks in, right? Get your Kyler Murrays, your Devontae Adams, all guys like that. Get those Dalvin Cooks, get those locks in. But you're going to have to get guys that are lower value when you want to fill the rest of the roster, when you want to fill out the rest of your roster. So you have to be careful. We got another Twitch comment: Swift or Cooks PPR? DeAndre Swift or Brandon Cooks? Here's what I would tell you. Okay, and DAD 22. I'm going to get to you in a second because you're going to kind of answer this question. Brandon Cooks has been very, very good. He's one of my favorite receivers, okay? He's one of my favorite receivers. And again, He was one of my picks this week, depending on weather. Supposed to be very bad weather in this matchup. We have to be very, very careful. Okay. But what I will tell you in Brandon Cooks, 39 targets over the last 4 weeks, 27 catches, 372 and 3. The guy has been every bit of good and productive when we talk about fantasy football, when he started off very, very slow. So if the weather is okay, I would lean towards Brandon Cooks, but it looks like the weather is going to be rough. 50-mile-an-hour gusts, 40 sustained. It's going to be a really tough play out there. Now, what I will tell you is Will Fuller is more of the guy I think that gets hurt because he's the long guy. Brandon Cooks is the guy that the yards after the catch kind of guy. So he will be more predominantly in the slant and in the skinny post, which will give him more PPR points. But DeAndre Swift, I really, really like this week. I like DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift has slowly become one of my favorite. I talked about him in the preseason, okay? DeAndre Swift was one of my guys who I said, man, if he can get that role. Now, he's 5,100 on DraftKings, okay? The one thing you want to look at is he's starting to get those rushing attempts. All right, when he gets the double-digit rushing attempts, he gets double-digit fantasy points. Okay, week 6, he had 14 rushing attempts, 30 fantasy points. 10 in week 7, 15 fantasy points. 13 in week 9, 13 fantasy points, and he's getting the targets. Again, they're going against a Washington team that is good, but they're playing at home. Washington's got a very underrated defense under Jack Del Rio. But again, I think this is going to be a game where Matthew Stafford is able to exploit the linebacker position on that team a little bit, as long as he can be pass protected. And I think DeAndre Swift has good games. So based on weather conditions, I would go DeAndre Swift on that question over Brandon Cooks. Weather is very bad, Texas versus Browns, so I go Herbert. Oh, yes. DAD22 asks, weather is bad. This is one of the questions right here that I'm talking about. This is where you talk about weather, where it comes in perspective. Again, you have to look at what do you have to lose, right? This is what I love these questions, because this is absolutely what I'm talking about. Deshaun Watson and Justin Herbert are basically separated by $300 on DraftKings. But Justin Herbert has averaged more fantasy points per week than Deshaun Watson. He's 26.9 to 24.5. So here's my thing. At the worst, Justin Herbert is going to give you exactly what Deshaun Watson is projected to give you based on his week-to-week analysis. So for me, for my money, take the weather in consideration. Throw that all out the window. Take your stress levels down. Don't worry about it, and start Justin Herbert. That's what I would do. Herbert over Watson this week because of the weather. I really, really like Justin Herbert this week. South Jersey Sports checking in. Need to start one. Quarterback Barrow, Stafford, or Foles. Bad weather in Pittsburgh for Barrow. Yes, I don't touch Joe Barrow this week. Even with the bad weather, I just don't touch him. I don't like him at all. So I think this is between Stafford and Foles. And I'll tell you what, I would never be able to start Foles in any kind of fantasy matchup. So I tell you right now that I would go 100% on Matthew Stafford. I love, obviously Joe Burrow was on a normal day would give you the points that you need, but never Foles. Listen, if you have another opportunity, pick somebody else up, but it's Stafford all day long. Here's a very interesting question. Have Faith 251 checks in. Jacoby Myers or Jalen Reagor? Now, Jacoby Myers is the guy that everybody's falling in love with, right? And I get it. He is putting himself as the number one receiver in New England. Be very, very careful. He's one of my tread caution picks of this week. Be very, very, very careful. Okay. Jacoby Myers going up against a very good Baltimore defense and a very, very good Marcus Peters. Sean, what's up, buddy? Thanks for checking in. I know you're saying Myers all day. I am going to trump you on that, Sean. I'm going to go Jalen Reagor, and I'm going to tell you why. The weather's going to be better. The quarterback play is going to be a little better. Okay. And the defense that they play is not going to be as good. I think this is a letdown week for Jacoby Myers. Just my opinion. Going up against Marcus Peters, I think he's going to show the young boy exactly who still reigns supreme when we talk about the quarterback position. So I'd rather go Jalen Reagor. I think Jalen Reagor has a really good game today. I think they utilize him a lot. So let's see. Sean, me against you, brother. It's all good. I love it. I can't wait to see who comes out. You also check and say Herbert is a fancy golden nugget 100%. Who cares about how bad the Chargers are? Exactly. Jerry's checking in from Twitch. Ruggs or Reagor? It's got to be Reagor, and I'll tell you why. Henry Ruggs has been so inconsistent week to week. I like Henry Ruggs. I think he's very talented, but the problem is he doesn't get enough volume. He doesn't. Listen, Jalen Reagor coming back today, coming back the other week before the bye, and now getting another week to rest, and now coming back full strength after the bye. I think, again, he just inserts himself into the lineup and puts right off the bat. I do. I think he gives them another weapon. Again, don't get me wrong. I'm not like all Jalen Reagor up here because you guys know exactly how I feel about him. But again, if you look at his DraftKings numbers, he's $4,200. He's a steal for me on DraftKings. He's a steal. Okay. Again, does he have electric? No. Okay. He's only played in 3 games this year. 6 points, 8 points, 13 points. But again, he was targeted 6 times. He's going to get the rock. He's going to get the ball. He only had 16 yards, receiving, which is nothing. I get it. But that number is going to go up. Listen, he just came back last week. He's just get acclimated. I think he's going to be heavily involved in the offense, and the Giants don't scare me at all. So I go Reagor all day. Ruggs is a big play guy. That's it, Reagor. I don't think so, Sean. I don't. I think Reagor, he does have that Tyreek Hill kind of mold, but I think that he is going to be targeted a lot more than people think because they like to use the middle of the field. They like the crossing routes, and that's one of the things that I think that you're going to see him excel in. I really do. Another Twitch comment coming in. This is a good one. Antonio Gibson or Mike Davis, PPR. I love Antonio Gibson this week. Antonio Gibson is one of my picks of the week, right? 100%. I really do. I think Detroit gives up, obviously, the most points to running backs in all of fantasy football, okay? Mike Davis is a PPR machine now. So, again, going against Tampa, even though I love Antonio Gibson, I just think because of the PPR numbers, I think you have to go Mike Davis here. I do. Even though Tampa's got a really good defense and Todd Bowles is really going to have to, assert himself to get over that New Orleans sting. Okay. So again, I had to lean toward Mike Davis only because I see how much they use the running back, and I know J.D. McKissick is going to be involved, in the Redskins game plan, especially with Alex Smith behind center. I do like Antonio Gibson. Both are good plays. I do like Antonio Gibson, but I would lean toward Mike Davis in this one against Tampa Bay. I just think that PPR wise, he's going to get the most volume and the most production out of that volume. I'm sorry, Sean. Oh, you're agreeing. Okay. Yeah, Ruggs is a big play guy. That's it. Yeah. If you look at Ruggs' number, it's like 1, 5, 2. I can't start a fantasy guy like that. Now, if you're talking about DFS, or you're talking about a guy under $4,000 that you want to throw in there, okay, I'll give you that. That's not an issue. 100%, I agree. But again, when we're talking about, Henry, big play, traditional, you just can't do it. One more for Twitch we got here. Ooh, Jerry Jeudy or Deontay Johnson. Listen, Jerry Jeudy was my pick last week, right? I told everybody, Jerry Jeudy, get him in there, and he went off. And again, he showed that he is 100%, a very electrifying player. I know a lot of people shook their heads out there in Denver when John Elway and John Lynch decided that. John Elway, I'd say John Lynch. He's in San Francisco, but yeah, John Elway started for Jerry Jeudy, and he took him in the draft, and everybody was but I'll tell you what, I was watching Jerry Jeudy, and listen, again, this brings me to Drew Lock this week too. Drew Lock, if you're looking for a really good value play at $5,500 for the quarterback position, Drew Lock again this week. Again, $5,500, a really, really good value play if you want to go that route. But Jerry Jeudy has the size, he has the speed, and he's just getting started. But this week, I'm going to have to go Deontay Johnson. I am, and I know the weather conditions are going to be bad. Okay, I get it, and I know Ben Roethlisberger has two bad knees. I get it, I understand, but I think this is I know Deontay is like boomer bust. Okay, like 0.8, 29, 1.6, 14.1. I get it, he's boomer bust, but I think this is the week where he's a boom. I do. I think he's the guy to look at. He's going to exploit a lot of that Cleveland secondary, short passing game all day long. There's going to be no deep balls to Juju, and there's going to be no to James Washington or Chase Claypool. A lot of it's going to be across the middle, up and go. And I think that basically plays into two guys, Eric Ebron and Deontay Johnson. So as long as he can stay healthy throughout the game, which he has shown the ability to do at times, I think Deontay Johnson is the pick right there. Sean coming in. Oh man, that San Diego backfield, man, is a mess. It really is. Balaj, Booker, Singletary. Here's what I would say, just based on a 14-team league. When questions like this come in and we look at the entire landscape, I'll go with the one game that looks like it's going to have the most fireworks, and that is the Buffalo-Arizona game. And even though Devin Singletary hasn't been getting the volume, I think just game alone, because there's going to be so many points scored, I like Devin Singletary out of those three. Just my opinion. Devontae Booker, I like the way. Listen, I know Gruden likes him. I think this is a Josh Jacobs week. I don't think Booker gets a lot of looks at all. Balaj, we just don't know what Anthony Lynn is going to do. Anthony Lynn is like the new Bill Belichick for fantasy frustration, right? So again, I go Devin Singletary just based on the fact that Buffalo and Arizona game, there's going to be a lot of points scored, and he could get that quick, goal line. Here's what happens when you have the two running back system, right? You always wait for that one play. It's like, okay, is this Zach Moss's series or is this Singletary's? And when Singletary's in there, and you hope that they get in that no huddle offense, there's no substitutions, they get a quick handle, and he gets that quick score. So I think that's what could happen this week with Devin Singletary. But listen, 14-man league, what do you have to lose, right? What do you have to lose? I mean, before that, Singletary was pretty solid, like 10 points a week before last week. So if you can get that in a 14-team league, I think you're doing okay. 100%. Let's get back to some also value guys, okay, for DraftKings. Again, I'm all in on Tua this week. Say what you want. 20 of 28, 248, 3 touchdowns last week. I'm all in on a Tua time. It's Tua time for me every single week, man. It's Tua time every single week for me. I don't care who he's playing. I'm all in. Wayne Gallman, $4,500 on DraftKings. No Devonta Freeman. Even with a Devonta Freeman, I am all in on Wayne Gallman. I like what he does out there. I know they're going to mix some Alfred Morris in there. I get it, but Wayne Gallman is going to score this week. I mentioned Cam Akers. I know that Cam Akers has been very, very low on the volume chart. Listen, they want him to work on pass protection, learning a playbook, holding on to the ball, but I think he's been getting there. And I think this is the week where we see Cam Akers finally get into that routine. There's no mistake. They're not in love with Darrell Henderson or Malcolm Brown. They want Cam Akers to be the guy. They're just working on him behind the scenes, and I think he could be a really good value at $4,200. Jalen Reagor, talk about $4,200. Damon Amendola, talk about him at $3,900. Jalen Guyton, here's a boomer bust guy. Jalen Guyton at $3,300 for your DraftKings lineup. Look at him right now, because at $3,300, he is every other week. Go look at Jalen Guyton's numbers. He goes 1.1 week, 20 the next. 1.1 week, 30 the next, right? Who knows? We don't know. I have no idea if that game flow is going to come through fruition. But what I will say is every single week you always look for that boomer bust guy. And for my money, Jalen Guyton is that guy this week. I think he gets that one long touchdown, gives you those 15 points. And if you can get 15 points for $3,300, you will thank me on Tuesday. Another guy, Jordan Akins, tight end from the Houston Texans, $2,900. Jordan Atkins was really doing well as a tight end, and then he got knocked out with a concussion about 3-4 weeks ago. He's working his way back. It's going to be a short passing game in bad weather out there in Houston. We already talked about it before. Impacting William Fuller, Brandon Cooks, impacting those kind of numbers. Okay, they already have, no David Johnson, that Duke Johnson playing. So who knows what's going to happen in the backfield? But one thing for sure, Jordan Atkins is going to get some looks. And for $2,900, can you get any cheaper for a tight end? I always pick tight ends cheap, and I pick defenses cheap. And that brings me to the defense of the Rams at $2,200. Russell Wilson has shown the ability to get away from the rush, but he's also shown that he has been holding onto the ball a lot longer than usual, taking bad sacks, running around trying to make things happen. So again, going against Aaron Donald, I think he's good for a couple sacks, with the Rams, and Jalen Ramsey's probably good for one pick today. So I think that for $2,200 with the defense of the Rams, I think that's a solid DraftKings pick. Andre checking in. Thank you for wishing happy. Absolutely, family. 100%. Andre, your Heat Ratio Sports, brother. You know that. Listen, I hope you had a wonderful day. Doing your, doing your branding thing, your marketing thing, your sports thing. My man's all over. So good for Andre. Happy birthday, my man. We got to copyright that Tua time. I think it's going to be trendy by 2021-22. It's Tua time. I'm telling you, we started the Tua time. We should have branded it already, right? Got to be Tua time. 100%. But again, yeah, this is the most important day of the week right now. It's Sunday. I'm going to close this out. Let's go. I'm going to give you something different this week. I'm going to give you my top 5. And it's going to, listen, again, Jigsaw is controversial sometimes. And my top 5 is going to be different than any other top 5. But mark it down. Put it in. Okay? Just so you can look back and say, man, Jigsaw had no idea what the hell he was talking about. Or, well, this Jigsaw guy, you know what? He's not too bad. Maybe he does, maybe he can give us a little insight every now and then. Listen, I'll tell you what, my man Mike Diaz from the Green Legion, props out, Green Legion, Philadelphia Zone. Check him out. Craig Quimby, Mike Diaz, Chris Stack, Hollis Thomas, part of the Fox Sports The Gambler family. Mike Davis, again, Mike likes to say that, I'm the 10%er club, right? I have a 10%er club. I'm 10% wrong. 10% right, 90% wrong. I like to flip it, Diaz. I'm 90% right and 10% wrong. So you can bring that on the Green Legion. That in all seriousness, let's get to my top 5. We got about 10 more minutes. And please, again, make sure you keep it locked. Sunday service, keep it locked here, right? Coming up for all your betting guys, best bets, my man Mark Drumheller, John Jansen, giving you the numbers you need to get those parlays in. And then we're going to go Bird Brain, Sean Braves, Victor Williams at the Philly Bod, Liberty Line Radio, checking out, getting you up to game time for that kickoff between the Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Giants. Now, top 5 this week fantasy quarterbacks for me. Tony Jigsaw Cotillo, top 5 fantasy firebox at Fox Sports The Gambler, top 5. Number 1, no reason to believe it's not going to be Kyler Murray. Number 2, Josh Allen. Those two guys, you can flip them, doesn't matter. They're going to be the top 2 quarterbacks, in my opinion, this week. Number 3, Justin Herbert. Number 4, Russell Wilson. And here you go, number 5, Jared Goff. Mark it down. Top 5 quarterbacks. We go Murray, Allen, Herbert, Wilson, Goff. I'll put it in the threads when we're done so you can screenshot it, let us know, and let me know what you think about my top 5. Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson get dropped out of that top 5 to me only because of weather. I can't trust them. I'd rather go with guys who I know 100% are going to produce. It is what it is. Let me know what you think. Top 5 running backs. Dalvin Cook does not come off the top spot until he proves otherwise. He long lived the Dalvin Cook, king of fantasy football this year. He stays at number 1. Number 2, Alvin Kamara against San Francisco, 100%. Alvin Kamara is the number 2 guy this week. My number 3 guy, Aaron Jones. Going to be a lot of volume for Aaron Jones, especially in very windy and blustery conditions against Jacksonville. Antonio Gibson, my number 4th ranked running back this week for fantasy. Antonio Gibson, yes, you heard it. And Mike Davis rounds out my top 5. So again, top 5 fantasy running backs for me, PPR. We're going to go Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, Antonio Gibson, and Mike Davis. Now, top 5 wide receivers. DeAndre Hopkins for me, number 1. Number 2, my man Michael Thomas can't guard. Mike is coming back this week. Say what you want. He came back last week. He only had 10 points, double, triple, you name it. He is going to show this week why he was the number 1 preseason fantasy wide receiver. Devontae Adams is number 3 for me this week, only because of weather, only because of the forecast. Number 4, Cooper Kupp. For me, going to have a tremendous week against Seattle. We already talked about that. And on the flip side, DK Metcalf rounds out my top 5 against the Rams on the other side of the ball. I just think DK is a ton to handle for anybody. Really like what he's going to do this week. Jose Vega checking in on Facebook. Juju or Fuller, full PPR. Jose, here's the thing. When we talk about PPR, you got to go with consistency. And I know, listen, they're kind of hit or miss, both these guys. But the last 2 weeks, Juju has really come on. And again, there's going to be bad weather conditions everywhere. Okay? Bad weather conditions everywhere. But what I will say with Juju is, Ben, he always picks that guy each week, right? And again, the 3 of them are always, they're always taken by like 100 points. And what I mean by that is Claypool and Juju and Deontay Johnson, right? Again, he's 7 targets last week. Okay, he's really starting. After week 6, he only had 4 targets. Everybody was questioning him, what's going on? But the last 3 weeks, 14, 8, and 7, 17, 14, 22, 100%. He's the consistent guy. I know Will Fuller has scored in 6 straight games, but that weather is really scaring me out there. So I would definitely go Juju all day. I'm with you, Andre. Andre says Juju all day for me as well. Jose also checks in. Gibson, Ronald Jones, or Giovanni Bernard, full PPR. Listen, Rojo is falling out of favor for me. It's going to be the Leonard Fournette show for the rest of the year. Rojo will get some touches, but Leonard Fournette is not only the pass catching and third down back, but he's getting the goal line work as well. So I really, really like Leonard Fournette over Ronald Jones. So I take him right out of the equation. This is a question of Antonio Gibson or Giovanni Bernard. This is an interesting one because you're talking about PPR, and we talked about this earlier. McKissick is the guy that's going to get the catches, right? Antonio Gibson, even though he's in my top 5 this week, he's not going to get all the catches. He gets about 3 or 4 targets a week, okay? He's going to get more yards than he's going to get targets. So I think I would. Again, this is going to be hard, but when we're talking about full PPR, Joe Burrow, I think, is going to be stymied by a tremendous pass rush. He's going to be looking to get rid of the ball as much as he can. So I think I'd have to go Giovanni Bernard in this one. I do it. He's going to get at least 5-6 targets in the passing game. He's going to get 15 to 16 rushes, especially because of windy conditions. There is no Joe Mixon. Nobody for competition for carries. So for me, for my money, Giovanni Bernard, 100%. I think that's who you start out of those 3 guys and make your money. So again, I love talking fantasy football. I love the questions, guys, and I love the back and forth. Again, thank you, Jose. Thank you for checking in. And again, I tell everybody, check back in and let us know how you did. Because listen, we don't hit on everything, right? I'm not going to sit here and lie about, I'm perfect, not 100%. I'm not going to give you out. Listen, it's hit or miss. Fantasy hit or miss. You got to go with your gut. But if you really look and you dive deep in the analytics of things, you'll understand why. And again, I tell everybody, don't be afraid to go with what you think as well. You always have to go with what you think too. It can't be just what everybody else thinks. Again, grown men are allowed to ask other people for fantasy advice. It's not a big deal. That's what we do. It's a difference of opinion. It's not advice. What do you think? Okay, stop. For all the people out there, just stop with that nonsense. Let's just be a community. Let's be a family. We don't need to be going up against one another. Let's just have fun. But anyway, fantasy football, Jigsaw Cotillo at T Cotillo 20. 2023 at Fox PHL Gambler. Again, check us out every single day, $3.50 on the daily ticket with Sean Brace, iHeartRadio. But, again, Heat Ratio Sports, that I am the founder of Heat Ratio Sports, but we have a tremendous family. We go live every Tuesday night. We go live every Wednesday night for the Fantasy Firebox. We give you everything we can to help you out 100%, but keep it locked right here, because Mark Drumheller, I know he's chomping at the bit. He's chomping. I was talking to him yesterday. I was talking to him the day before. He's ready. He's got a sharp report that he has every single week on the Gambler. Right now, he's got his pencil out. He's probably chewing the eraser off, and he's got those bets ready to go. So again, check it out. Remember, pick of the day, low value pick, right? Low value pick is Gabrielle Davis, Buffalo Bills. If you need a guy, boom or bust, under $4,000, check him out. Let me know how he does for you. Again, I will be locked and loaded up until game time, tweeting out all day. Get at me. I will list my top 5 on here so everybody can look. And again, everybody have a fantastic Sunday. Enjoy life. Enjoy that you woke up today. Thank the Lord that we are here and we are together, and let's be a family, and let fantasy football bring us together. God damn it. Now, again, stay safe, stay healthy, and we will catch you later.